Hey everybody, welcome. All right, we already have brokers joining us today. So happy you could be here today. Happy Wealthy Winning Wednesday. Woohoo! Who is excited to be here today? I am very pumped up about today's topic, which is a continuation, part 3 of our Blue Ocean Strategy, Innovation for Success. And I've just been reading my favorite book here today, which is, of course, Blue Ocean Strategy. Who has their very own copy? Go ahead and comment in the chat bar. Let us know where you're joining us from. And also, let us know if you have a copy of Blue Ocean Strategy book, whether it's a physical book like this, the Kindle version, or the Audible version. Let us know what you have and how you like it. Okay, welcome everybody. Hope everybody can hear me. Okay, as we wait for everybody to check in, I'm going to show you my second book that we'll be working from today. The second book is called Brand New. There you are. And the subtitle is Solving the Innovation Paradox, How Great Brands Invent and Launch New Products, Services, and Business Models. So today in the Blue Ocean Strategy, we'll be going through Chapter 3, which is all about looking across the 6 paths to discover new markets and reconstruct new market boundaries. This book, Brand New, is going to help us because it offers a very precise layout of looking across the customers, conducting workshops, and gaining insight into customer needs. So paired together, today is going to be an awesome workshop. Welcome, everyone. All right, we have Elisa from Cafe Realty Mount Kisco in New York. And you have your copy of Blue Ocean. Woohoo! Awesome. Great job. Julie Bruckner from Corona, California. Welcome, Julie. Glad everybody can join us. I know some people are not able to check in on the chat simply because they have they're on their phone or just listening via audio and don't have access to the chat. But I'll try to keep you apprised of all the comments as they come in. So who's ready to get started? Woohoo! I'm going to go ahead and get our, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing our file for our activity handout, our workbook. Please let me know if you can see it. Okay, it's the activity handout. It's 6 pages and it starts with B.O.S.S. Activity Workbook 3. And we know B.O.S.S. stands for Blue Ocean Success System based on the Blue Ocean Strategy. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get our slide presentation started. Oh, Irene says, yes, I can see you. Yay. Welcome, Irene. Thank you for joining us. So today is Be the Boss and Dominate Your Market, the third of 8 sessions on this topic. We're going to be discussing how real estate brokerage owners like us can innovate, differentiate, and capture unique market share with Blue Ocean Strategy success. We know that our real estate industry is filled with heavy, direct, head-to-head competition. How do we break that and discover a new market for ourselves where we don't have to compete for every nickel and dime on every service? So welcome to your future. It looks so bright here at MBA Broker Consultants. So today's presentation, the 5 things we're going to cover will be, first of all, reconstructing market boundaries. We'll talk a little bit about that and why it's so important. Next is the strategy canvas. We'll review that from last week and show you how to begin applying it here. Number 3 is the 6 paths framework. And that's going to go through the heart of our topic today. We'll show you 6 different ways to find new customers. Number 4 is going to be conceiving new market space. So how do we put all the pieces together? And then last is brand new customer research from our book, Brand New, which I just shared a minute ago. Also a great find on Amazon. It's by G. Michael Maddock and a couple other authors. Okay, Julie said you got it. Okay, woohoo, awesome. Annalisa, great. Our quote today is from Helen Keller, and we know that Helen Keller was one of the great achievers and influencers of our time, and she was also coincidentally blind, but had better vision than most people. And how is that? Her quote is, "The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision." So that differentiates between sight, which is something you can see, and vision, which is what you know is coming down the road and the big picture. And it underscores the importance that vision is so much more important than sight. In other words, the big picture that we're envisioning in our mind is more important than just what we can see physically, the few steps in front of us, and apply that to the market as well. Hey, Shukita, I saw you got it. Okay, great. A little bit about me. I'm a real estate brokerage owner, just like all of you, and received my real estate license a number of years ago, but always struggled with the small boutique mom and pop shop brokerage. I wanted to expand. I didn't know how. And after completing my MBA degree, while completing it, I was introduced to the Blue Ocean strategy, which is a revolutionary concept for business owners. And that's what I'm going to share with you here today. All right, we got Janice on. You said hello, everyone. Hello to you as well, Janice. Thank you for joining us. This is my certificate of completion from Blue Ocean Academy. I went through their courses and was able to learn a lot, and that's what I'll be sharing with you here today. All of the concepts from Blue Ocean Strategy are copyright from the authors of the textbook. So today's topic, innovation session number 3, is reconstructing market boundaries. What does that mean? That sounds like a complex concept, but it's really not. So it's actually quite fun. So let's get started learning about that. Reconstruct market boundaries. What are market boundaries? Market boundaries are the well-defined area in our industry that we're told we operate in, that all of our competitors operate in. It's the area in which we find our customers, our buyers and sellers, and our primary customers, our agents. It's the area that we all play in. Some might refer to it as the sandbox, right? We're playing in the sandbox with all of our competitors. But today we're going to step back from that, and we're going to ask ourselves, why are we competing directly with the big guys? We're small brokerages. We don't have the capital, the resources, the knowledge, the experience to be able to compete with the big guys. So why are we trying to compete with them on their level? Can't we just create our own new market? Can't we redefine our market that we want to serve by reconstructing, recreating brand new market boundaries? The answer is yes, we can. Yes, we will. And that's what we're going to start today. So if you remember back from session 1, we talked about how people come up with innovative solutions. And it's not a magic wand. There's no secret formula of, you just go to bed one day and you wake up the next and poof, your idea is there. It's actually a process that we go through. And we're going to take you through that process today. At the end of today, we won't have any answers for you, but you will be started on the path of finding and creating your own answers of what's right for your brokerage. So today we're going to show you how to start that process. Now we're going to use unconventional wisdom because most of us are used to the conventional wisdom of doing what everybody else does, doing what our competitors do. We're going to break that cycle, break the competitive convergence of doing what everybody else in our industry does. We're going to push outside of the accepted boundaries of everybody says, here's your boundaries you're operating in, and we're going to think outside of that box. And we're going to share some insight into reconstructing new markets. So what we have planned for you today is advanced concepts. This is not for everybody. This is not for real estate brokerage owners who want to keep doing the same thing, competing in the same arena, and, just be the traditional brokerage that they've always been. This is for the few of us who dare to think outside the box, who have the audacity to create something brand new and venture outside of our comfort zone. All right, so let's talk about the first thing, strategy canvas. Now, you remember from session 2, we introduced the strategy canvas in detail. So let's take a moment to review that tool because that's one of the tools that we're going to apply to the 6 paths as we go through them today. So our samples, this is a sample strategy canvas. Let me get my whiteboard started here. So we have 2 things here on this canvas. It's like a matrix with a graph on it. The first thing we have is the offering level on the left. And the offering level shows at what level the company is offering this product or service. It's either low, average, or a high level, right? Now, the most important part is going across the bottom, which is our competing factors. These are the areas that our business competes on as well as our competitors. And what we're doing in this canvas is we're comparing our business with our competitors. Or better yet, we're comparing our new vision for a brand new type of company with what everybody else in the industry is already doing. Once we compare that, we can determine what factors we want to eliminate, what factors we're reducing, what factors we're raising. Boy, I'm not very good with this drawing tool and what factors we are going to be creating. Now, this is an example. This is a sample of a company that offers management services. So across the bottom are their competing factors, which are their key leadership activities. You can see that they decided they wanted to eliminate some factors that the industry thinks is important. Here's the red ocean of all the competitors, and they decided to eliminate it. There's their blue ocean. They also decided to reduce some of the certain factors that the industry competes on because everybody else is doing it. So that's why all the competitors do it, because everybody else is doing it. They've never taken the time to stop and think about it. But our sample company here took the time, stopped, thought about it, and said, those factors are not important. We're going to reduce them. Now, there are certain factors that the competitors don't think is important, but our sample company here said, you know what? Customers think those are important. Even if nobody else does it, our customers value that, and that's what we want to raise. So they're sort of raising the bar here, literally, right? And they decided those are the things we're going to start offering to our customers at a higher level. And lastly is create. This company said, you know, none of our competitors in the red ocean are doing this, but we have done some research. We decided we're going to create some new services, add them to our existing, because we think customers really want and would enjoy that. They're willing to pay for it, and it fits into our business model. Or we create a business model around that. So there you have it. Eliminate, reduce, raise, and create. And this is our sample strategy canvas here. Okay. Now let's clear that and go to the next slide. Now this is a sample real estate strategy canvas. The reason that we're showing this is because I want you to start thinking of these concepts and how you can apply them to your real estate business. What I did is I took a snapshot of my brokerage and I added it in here. It is not a blue ocean company. It's completely as is. And when you start this process, you're not going to have a blue ocean company either. You have a red ocean company because you're competing head to head with everybody else. So let's first identify that before we decide what we're going to change to make it a blue ocean company. Okay, so here are different factors that brokerages might compete on for a real estate seller. And the first one is right here on price. And, this is a luxury firm and they have high price. Here's a DIY seller. It could be a FSBO. It could be a company that helps FSBOs, and it's low. And here's my brokerage. We're right in the middle. Do they offer professional photos, right? If so, at what level? Do they offer paperwork to do all the documents for you? What level is that? Will they hold open houses? And, here the DIY is a low level, luxury high. Here's me in the middle, right? What about their marketing? What about MLS services, internet? What about staging? So all these things are compared to each other, and that creates a strategy canvas. So now we know where we sit in comparison to our competitors. I hope that makes sense, and I want you to think about this as we go through each of the 6 paths today. Okay? All right, we're going to take that off. And now we dive in deep to the 6 path works, the 6 paths framework. Okay, there we go. So as we're going to reconstruct these market boundaries, we're going to look across 6 paths. And we're going to dive deeper into each of these, but let me introduce each of them first. The first one is alternative industries. The second path we're going to look across is strategic groups within our existing industries. The third one is our chain of customers. Now, if you have the Blue Ocean Strategy book, I know many of you do, you've heard the term used, chain of buyers. They use the word buyers frequently in the book to represent a customer. In my my course, I changed the term buyer to customers because it was very confusing with real estate buyers, which are part of our segment of customers. So you're going to see a difference between the book and my course here, which I call customers. Okay. Now remember, we have 2 types of customers. Our primary customers are whom? Yes, it's our agents. Our secondary customers are those consumers, buyers, sellers, investors, and could even be corporate accounts. The 4th path that we're going to look across is complementary product and service offerings. The 5th path is functional or emotional appeal to buyers. And the last one is time, which is almost like having a crystal ball. So we'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, so now let's look at head-to-head competition to blue ocean creation. Each of these 6 paths that we just explored are right here. And let's see. Here we go. So here are each of the 6 paths. And we're going to look and see what the competitors are doing in each of those areas. And then We're going to move over here to blue ocean and see what we could do instead to reconstruct those market boundaries. All right, so the first one is industry. In our industry, what do all your competitors do? Well, they focus on rivals within the industry. In other words, they're not focused as much on the customer as they are on each other, copying each other, competing with each other, ranking themselves compared to each other, right? That's when you look at production, when they say, oh, we've done X amount of production and we're number one in our market. What are they focusing on? Head-to-head competition with their rivals. In comparison, a blue ocean creation is going to look across alternative industries instead of just the current industry. That's really thinking outside the box, isn't it? Secondly is a strategic group. In a red ocean market, they focus on competitive position within that strategic group. So where they rank and how they compare with their competitors. Whereas in a blue ocean creation, you're going to look across to strategic groups within the industry. Okay? Not just that group, but the entire industry. Number 3 is your customer group. And a red ocean company will focus on better serving the customer group. So they'll say, these are what our customers want. How can we give them more products, more services? And you'll see that a lot sometimes with brokerages, especially those that might have a whole laundry list of products they offer. And they're going to say, for example, we're the best brokerage in town. We offer 50 different tech tools for you to use. So that's a red ocean because they're trying to one-up their competitors. On the other hand, on the blue ocean, they're going to redefine the industry customer group and not try to target everybody with 1 million products. All right, the fourth path is your scope of product or service offering. And in a red market, it's focused on maximizing the value of product and service offerings within the bounds of its industry. So how do we get the most value, charge the highest prices, or in some cases charge the lowest prices, and we're still competing with each other? On the other hand, in a blue ocean creation, you're not going to necessarily look at, constantly trying to better do better than your competitors at price or service. You're actually going to look across complementary product and service offerings, right? For example, the chain of supply. And that's very interesting. So we're going to talk about that as well. In number 5, that's the functional and emotional orientation. And typically, customers who are attracted to a particular industry due to emotion will continue to develop. There's more and more and more emotional appeal that gets developed. On the other hand, customers who might be attracted to an industry based on function, the competition continues to refine that and add more function, more function, more function. But in the blue ocean creation, we're going to flip that on its head. Customers who come to us looking for function, we're going to appeal to them based on emotion. And customers who come to us based on emotion, we're going to flip that and appeal to them based on function. And we're going to see if we can create new customers or find a new customer base using that flip. And the last, number 6, is time. Now, in a red ocean strategy, the competitors are all focused on adapting to the external trends. They're going to look at the trends and say, oh, here's a trend that I see developing. I'm going to jump on it. In a blue ocean strategy, we take a little more time to look at that trend fully played out from beginning to end and what the end is, and then get to the end of it instead of just jumping on the bandwagon right now. All right, I hope that makes sense. You can see we have a lot to cover, and we're just warming up. So path number 1, alternative industries. What would, could, or do your prospective customers buy rather than buying into your industry's service or product? So an example is, say you have a movie theater and you want to look and see, what do customers do if they didn't come to your movie theater? So let's think about that for a minute. Let's think about parents. They maybe go to a movie theater so they could have a night out away from toddlers, some adult time together to strengthen their marriage. But what would they do if they didn't go to the movie theater? Would they go to a restaurant and watch a movie? Would they, maybe take a boat cruise together? Would they go to a friend's house and play a game? So these are things that your customer would do if they didn't buy into your industry's service or product. Let's take a look at a case study here. Oh, sorry. First, we have a poll for you. All right, poll. Looking across alternative industries. And I know we just introduced this topic, so you may not have an answer yet, and that's okay. But if you were to look across alternative industries, do you see that any substitute exists for real estate sales? Answer A is yes. I see services that people use instead of buying property. So if your main primary service that you offer is selling real estate, then if somebody didn't buy a house, what would they do instead? What are other alternatives? If somebody's selling a house and they didn't do that, what would they do instead? If an investor invests in real estate and they decided, well, I don't want to invest in real estate, I'm going to do something else, what would they do that would be a rival for that? And most importantly, let's look at real estate agents. If real estate agents decided all of a sudden, I don't want to sell real estate, I want to do something else, what would that look like? What would they substitute in their life for real estate sales? Would they sell something else? Would they teach and be an educator? I know a lot of real estate salespeople are educators and have come from that industry. So what would they do instead? Okay, so we have 50% answering, yes, I see services that people use instead of buying property. 50% said, okay, I'm starting to bring it into focus. And C, nobody answered that, but it's no, all I see are our rivals in real estate sales. Okay, so hopefully your mind is churning. You're starting to think about this. We're going to end the poll now. Our case study is NetJets. NetJets is a private airplane company that was created to bridge a gap. Now, there are people who travel a lot for business. They are, probably wealthier than the average individual. Their business is successful. And since they travel a lot, they're obviously not going to be going on regular, public airlines because it's too time consuming for them. And it really doesn't suit their schedule. They might have to be zipping across the country every day or several times a day. So the alternative is to either buy your own jet or pay for a private jet. Paying for a private jet could be very expensive. And if you if you buy your own jet, that's very expensive. It might be cost prohibitive. So what NetJets did is they created sort of like, I guess you might call it a timeshare, where they sell partial ownerships of small jets to private business owners. So, for example, This jet you see here might come with its own pilot, and everybody who buys in buys, for example, 1/16th share. So there are 16 different owners. They obviously have to share the usage among each of them, and they might have priority days or they might have scheduled days. But by owning a small piece of the jet along with the services that come with it, they can really maximize their time. And this is an example of a company that thought outside the box. All right, next slide. How do we apply that to real estate? Okay, as I said in the beginning, I'm going to be leading you through this process, but now this is where your thinking comes in. How do you apply that to real estate? How do you look across the create a strategy canvas that looks across alternative industries to real estate, just like they did earlier with NetJets? And how would that apply to people you hire, your sales agents, your property managers? How would that apply to your, secondary customers, home buyers, investors, house sellers? How would you apply this to real estate? How would you look across alternative industries? Next path is number 2, strategic groups within industries. A strategic group is a group of companies within an industry that pursue a similar strategy. And an example of that is Mercedes, BMW, Jaguar. They're all in the luxury car segment. But looking from the outside, it doesn't appear that they're actually competing from a supply point of view. So these are fundamental strategic groups. At this path, the question you need to ask yourself is, why do customers trade up to a higher strategic group or trade down to a lower strategic group? Exactly. So in the car industry, that would be, you have your luxury segment, you have your SUV segment, you might have a low-end economy car segment. So what makes customers trade from one group to another within that industry? Now, to help us explain it, let's look at a case study, and this is Curves Gym. This was a gym created for women, and it was created out of a market need of what customers, female women who want to stay in shape, what they didn't want in a traditional gym. What they didn't want is they didn't want a bunch of clunky equipment that they had to change the weights. They didn't want mirrors to stare at themselves. They didn't want men oogling them as they walked around. They wanted to feel safe. They didn't want the personal trainer with the big bulky muscles. They want a woman who's just like them, who can coach them individually and help push them. They wanted weights that were fun and easy to use and colorful. And you can see they are arranged in a circle here, right? So they're looking at each other and encouraging each other instead of looking in the mirror. So Curves was very, very successful because they did something different. I just want to share some facts about them, but for Curves, they compared with the startup of investment of $500,000 to $1 million for traditional health clubs. The startup investment for a Curves franchise ranged from only $25,000 to $30,000, excluding a franchise fee. Their costs have been lowered. And what does that mean? It means their profit margin is maximized. So in a strategy canvas, the things they have eliminated or lowered for their end customer, which are the customers coming in and using the gym, they're about $30 a month. So busy working women who could work out at home, they never do, right? We know that because what's easy to do is also easy not to do. So this gives them the motivation. It's a low cost. They have no excuse. It gives them the motivation to go and work out together. So because of that, they looked and see what do their customers want, the end customers. They want a lower price, and they don't care about all the amenities. They don't need a swimming pool. They don't need a spa and a sauna room. They don't need a fancy locker room and all of that. So all of that has been eliminated with their strategy canvas. They need a quick workout. They need instructors available whenever they walk in. They need the encouragement and discipline from being motivated with each other and a non-threatening environment. We call that the same-sex environment, right? Because women, it's been shown, don't like to go to gyms for the most part where there are a lot of men working out. And it's also a fun atmosphere, and it's convenient. They can stop and do it on their way home from work. So they have created a brand new blue ocean market with their strategy for curves. Let's look at one. Oh, how do you apply this to real estate? We're going to look at a real estate example, okay? In this company, it's called Champion Enterprises. They noticed that people wanted houses built fairly quickly. They wanted them built custom, but they couldn't necessarily afford the cost to build a brand new home from scratch. So what this company did is they combined prefabricated housing, which you would normally think of as a trailer or a manufactured home, but you can see there that it definitely is not. And they combined it with custom features and on-site developers to sell whole tracts of homes like this. This is something new that had never been done in the real estate industry. And by focusing on what customers wanted that was not being offered by existing companies, instead of trying to copy what everybody else is, they actually changed the definition of prefabricated housing and created a whole new market for themselves. This brings to mind the tiny home, right? The tiny home is a cottage industry that has sprung up overnight, and it's a similar concept. It's taking something that's a combination between an RV, you're building on a chassis of a trailer, and a house. It's movable, it's small, it's affordable, and it can be customized. So that's another great example in the housing industry. Now, path 3, let's look across the chain of customers. The chain of customers includes 3 important types of customers. We're going to call these actual users, the purchasers, and influencers. And let's talk about how they differ a little bit in general, and then let's talk about the real estate industry. When you go to a grocery store and you bring your children along, as I did to mine when they were little, I always avoid the cereal aisle. Why is that? Because the kids love to pick out the chocolatey, sugary, bad for you cereal. And not only do they insist on it, but they'll throw a temper tantrum in the middle of the aisle if they don't get their favorite cereal. That's an example of an actual user who is not a purchaser. The user of the product is the child. The purchaser is the parents. Which one of them are influencers? I would say both, wouldn't you? In the real estate industry, you have people who are at different levels. Say you have some first-time home buyers. They're a little nervous about buying their first home. and they also don't have enough for the down payment. So they go look at a few houses and you ask them, are you ready to buy? And they say, oh, wait a minute. My parents are helping us with the down payment. They have to approve this house first. And you're thinking, oh no, more decision makers. So the parents come along to the house, and the parents, maybe they love the house, maybe they pick it apart and discourage them from buying it. So in that case, you have actual users who are the buyers, you have the purchasers who are the parents, and then the contract, maybe the parents say, oh, my brother-in-law is an attorney. He reviews all of our documents. They send the purchase agreement to their attorney, and their attorney is the deal killer who rips it apart, and the attorney could be an influencer, and they could cancel the sale. So in this, you have 3 different types of customers: the actual users, the purchasers, and the influence. So when you're looking across your chain of customers, don't just look at the buyers and the sellers and the investors. Look at who is helping them purchase and who is the key influencer in those decisions. Now, another example of a purchaser in real estate might be a foundation or a mortgage company who is helping them with down payment assistance. Or you just might say it's the mortgage company in general, right? Okay, and influencers could be anybody who's giving them advice about it or who is a strong enough influence to make or break the deal. Now, when you're looking across the buyers, you're actually going to get new insights about their behavior and their wants and needs. And then you're going to redesign your value curve on that strategy canvas. So let's take a little poll here. We've been talking a lot about customers. Which set of customers do you think are the most important? Are they actual users, purchasers, or influencers? So take a moment and just let us know in the poll what you think. All right, somebody said influencers. Okay, that is great. All right, we have more influencers. Anybody else? All right, we have somebody saying actual users. Okay, great. We have 50% say actual users, 50% say influencers. This is sort of a trick question. I'm going to say it's all 3. I didn't give you an option for that, but any answer you picked is fine as long as you're engaged in this process of thinking through your customers. We're going to go ahead and end the poll. Now let's look at a case study. This case study is Novo Nordisk. It's an insulin medicine for people with diabetes. Let's think back to the decision of who are the actual users, who are the purchasers, and who are the influencers. Now, when somebody is prescribed medicine, the actual user is the patient. The purchaser is probably their insurance company, and the influencer is the doctor or the pharmacy, the medical profession. Now, traditionally in this industry, the doctors would prescribe the medicine to their patients. The doctors are all-knowing, they're smart, they've gone to medical school, they have a degree, they practice medicine with their patients every day, they're experienced and seasoned. So the patient comes in and says, what's going to happen to me, doc? And the doctor says, well, you have diabetes. I want you to take this Novo Nordisk or this insulin product every day. Isn't that the way it usually works? Well, how do the doctors know what to prescribe? Because there are pharmaceutical reps that go to the doctors that educate them about their products. And that's the way the industry's always been done. This company, Novo Nordisk, they decided to shift the game. They changed the game completely. And instead of spending their marketing dollars with pharmaceutical reps that would go to each doctor, they decided to go directly to the consumers. So they eliminated the doctor as the expert. Not that the doctor isn't the expert, but they eliminated the step of the customer, the patient asking their doctor, because now the patient comes into their office and they say, "Doctor, I've heard about the Novo Nordisk. Would you be able to prescribe that for me?" So now the process is being driven differently. It's driven by the actual customer. And that was a flip in the way that the industry has always operated. Okay, Elisa says influencers can also be third-party endorsers, reviews, etc. Yes, excellent point, Alyssa, is that influencers could be, for example, before a customer, like say a real estate agent wants to join your company, and before joining your company, they go to Yelp and they check out your reviews and they find out you have really great reviews. That could be an influencer, or they find some bad reviews. That could be an influence on them as well. So great point. Thanks, Elisa. You are really thinking outside the box. So how can you apply this concept to real estate? How can you apply this concept of looking across the chain of customers to your sales agents, your property managers, your buyers, sellers, and investors? Okay, anybody want to chime in and let us know in the chat here what your takeaways are and how you can use it? Let's look now at path number 4. That's your complementary product and service offerings. In this, you're going to think about what happens before, during, and after your product is used. We're going to be looking at the supply chain. Oh, Lisa, you said have a voice on social channels. Yes, absolutely. So, okay, so let's look again. Let me explain this a little more. Complementary product and service offerings. You look at what happens before people use your service, during the time they use your service, and after they use your service. And we have an example I'm going to share with you in just a minute. It's about the NABI, NABI bus and their transit bus service. And it is based in Hungary. But first, I want to talk a little bit about real estate, because that is something that that we could easily think about as far as our services. What happens before your buyers come to you? Let's use the buyers, for example. What do? Well, they normally get pre-qualified with a mortgage lender. What else do? Well, they have to have a job and a source of income. They might be looking around on the internet at homes for sale. Okay, great. What do buyers do during the time that you're serving them? Well, they probably have a home inspection. They might have an insurance policy drawn up. They probably go in and meet with the escrow, title, or attorney and learn more about the process. What do buyers do after they've bought the home, the transaction closed, and your service is, done? Do they do anything? Well, yes, they have a house now. They have to maintain their house. They have to continue paying a home warranty if they want that. They continue paying their insurance and taxes and their mortgage. They have to maintain the home. If your buyers are like my buyers, I advise them to go talk to their attorney and get a family living trust and do some advanced asset planning strategies with some tools from their attorneys. So think about that. So don't just think about the transaction, the sale. Look across everything that happens. What are complementary products and services? Look at that whole supply chain going up and down that leads them to your company, what they do with your while they're with your company and after. Okay, this is a little example of NABI bus service, and they were able to think outside the box and do something really innovative, and they charged a higher price but offered a better service that competed not with other buses but perhaps with the train or a person getting in their car and driving, or even an airplane trip. Right? So they created a value curve that's radically divergent from the industry's value curve. It did not have to be a commodity price-driven industry, but all the other buses were selling for the lowest price, and they decided to do something different. Now, how can you apply these complementary service offerings to real estate? First, we have a little poll for you. And our poll is, I think you already know the answer to this. All right, but there's the poll anyway. What are complementary service offerings? Is it what customers do before and after our service, during our service, or all of the above? Yeah, I think you already know the answer. I should have had this poll earlier. I gave it away, right? Okay, everybody has said 100% all of the above, and you are correct. Awesome. Now we're going to go on to something. Again, apply to real estate. We did talk a little bit about that. How can you apply this to sales agents, property managers? Okay. Functional or emotional appeal to buyers. This is quite interesting. As I said in the beginning, in a business, you have a product or service. It's generally either focused on emotional appeal or focused on logical appeal. And whichever one it is, you want to flip that and change it from one to the other. Don't just accept the industry standard. For example, we think about home buyers. Many of them buy for emotional reasons. They're getting married, they're having children, they are tired of their horrible landlord. They want to paint their walls their own color without the landlord telling them no. They want to have a pet. Those are all emotional appeals, right? But are there functional appeals? Can you show buyers or renters who have never thought of being buyers, can you show them on paper where this can be more profitable for them from a logical standpoint, and strip away the emotional and use it purely as a logical solution? For example, buying your own home could be the backbone and start of your real estate investing, and you could save for your retirement based on the equity you earn. That's just an example. Let's talk about functional. What is a functional appeal in real estate? I think buying a house for investment purposes or commercial real estate is often thought of as a functional, logical appeal. Can you switch that to an emotional appeal? Can you say, you're buying these offices or apartment complex, not just for the cash flow, but for the future legacy you can leave for your children or for a charity or for something else. Maybe the apartment complex, you're going to house single pregnant women who are homeless or something like that. So how can you flip the script and change the emotional appeal and flip it on its head? We have a little case study here. This is called QB House Salon. QB stands for Quick Beauty, started in Japan. Now in Japan, their custom is when men go get a haircut, it's approximately a 1 hour haircut. It's not fast, it's not cheap, and the reason that they go there is not just to get their hair cut, but the barbers follow a ritual. In other words, they have a special hair and skin treatments. They blow dry the hair, they shave them, they have their shoulders rubbed and massaged, they're served tea and coffee, they have hot towels. So it's an experience. Well, QB House bucked that trend and decided, instead of customers paying $27 to $45, we're going to charge $9. We're going to have a 5 to 10 minute haircut. And we're going to have a lot of customers in here really fast. We're going to have a lot of small locations. So what they did is they stripped away the emotional service and they made it purely functional and logical. They stripped away the hot towels, the shoulder rubs, the tea and the coffee, the special hair treatments, and all they do is the basic cut. So this appeals to their men who are in a hurry, primarily businessmen who are between appointments. They can go in and get a quick haircut. They created 2 proprietary products. One was an air wash system, which is an overhead hose that they pull down. It gets the hair wet and cuts it and vacuums up the pieces of hair all in one, so they never have to have all their heads soaked. It's what makes their system fast. And they also installed a traffic light system in front of their store that tells them if there are chairs available and how long the wait is. So they have appealed to the uncertainty issue of having to wait for a cut. You don't know how long it's going to be and get a reservation. You don't have to do any of that. They've eliminated all of that with their traffic light system of saying, okay, we'll be ready for you in 5 minutes, or there's a seat open for you now. So in addition to reducing the price of a haircut, they raised their hourly revenue earned per barber nearly 50%. They lowered staff costs, and they lowered their retail space that they needed, and became extremely profitable very, very quickly. Okay. So that is the emotional versus logical appeal. How can you apply that to real estate? We did talk about that as well. And now our last one is a little more complex. We won't spend a lot of time on it, but I do want you to start thinking about looking across time. Examine the demographic trends. And these trends must have 3 features that you would want before you would want to explore that trend. The first feature is it must be decisive to your business. It must make a decision in your business in the future. Number 2, it must be irreversible. In other words, it's not a fad like the pet rock that's going to come and go away. It's going to continue on this path, for future generations. And 3, must have a clear trajectory. In other words, it has a clear path it's going and hopefully an ending point. And your goal is really to look at that ending point. It has been said that time is the great equalizer. What that means is if you don't know if something's right or wrong, 10 years from now, you can look back and you can tell very clearly what was the right path, what was the wrong path. Time is a great equalizer, but unfortunately, we don't have enough of it and we don't have time to wait. Get it? Time. So we're going to act now. Our case study today is iTunes. And if you remember how iTunes came about, before there was iTunes, there was illegal music file sharing by many different sources. Music lovers, excuse me, were going to the internet and downloading, pirating songs. The quality was poor. What they were doing was illegal. And it was hard to find the exact song they wanted and when it was available, and things were constantly being removed. So Apple took a look at that and said, we see a need in the market. How can we fulfill that need in a way that's legal, it's better for the customer, and it earns us a profit? So what they did is they leapt past the free downloading services, and they provided sound quality as well as intuitive navigating, searching, and browsing functions. And that's all what was missing in the black market of downloading. So they really revolutionized the market by, for the customers and for the music producers and songwriters and all those who are benefiting, because they're now getting paid and they made a profit as well. So that's an excellent example of them looking across time. Now, I want to talk briefly about our real estate industry and looking across time, because many of us are afraid. I don't even know if I want to use that word, but we're worried maybe about what's coming down the pike from these big giant corporations that have a lot of money. They have seemingly unlimited resources, millions, billions of dollars that they're throwing at these things. And they're trying new, different strategies. And a lot of real estate agents are shaking in their shoes, for lack of a better word. And they're worried, excuse me, if these big companies are going to put them out of their business. And we as real estate agents are saying, nothing can replace our great personal service. These companies will not succeed because they don't have us as agents and our great personal service. But I'm here to say today that some of these companies have done the research. Some of them have looked at these trends across time for the long range, and they have predicted where this market is going to be, and the bandwagon they are jumping on is going to help them be there when the market ends. So it is a real concern, because if we are not innovating, somebody else is going to innovate. And will we be obsolete? Perhaps. It is something to think about, is that, instead of being worried about these companies or talking bad about them on social media, we need to do our own research. We need to investigate. We need to innovate. We need to understand what the consumer wants, what our agents want, what our buyers and sellers and investors want, and how we can get there and offer that instead of the competitors, because they are creating new blue oceans. And if we aren't creating our own new blue oceans, then we probably will be left behind. So I'm not saying this to scare anyone as much as I am to encourage you to really start thinking differently. All right, so quickly, we're going to wrap it up here. We want to conceive new market space, and that's what today is all about. At the beginning of this course today, we looked at head-to-head competition and blue ocean creation and the difference between the two. So in your workbook there, you have a little table just like this. And what I'd like you to do is, for your company, go in and write in what is your company currently doing as far as looking across the industry. What are they doing as far as strategic groups, customer groups, product or service offering, functional or emotional appeal, and time? And once you've looked at what you're doing, take a moment and decide what you can do differently. And that would go in the new little boxes over here on the right. So you're going to go from today current, and then you're going to take some time and think about how you can go to a new business model. And that's in your workbook there. Okay, so you go ahead and try it. Create a strategy canvas that is different, that is new, and that appeals across these 6 paths framework. Lastly, we're going to finish up with a little bit from this book called Brand New: Solving the Innovation Paradox, How Great Brands Invent and Launch New Products, Services, and Business Models. I was talking about some big companies with unlimited funds and lots of capital that have entered the marketplace. This is what they've done. How do we do that? So the first thing is to find the need, and that's what they call circle one. First, you have to have the insight and then the idea. What is insight? It's understanding customers' needs and wants. And then you find the tension, or in other words, you solve for their pain points. What are their pain points? What is your solution to solve them? You're going to narrow your focus by segmenting the market, understanding who you target and what their unmet needs are. Okay, so the 3 steps are: number 1, define success; number 2, define the characteristics you want your segment to have. And an example of, in this particular company, was growing, spending, opening to your brand, findable, reachable, and decision maker. So that's what they want their market segment to be, and that is the market segment they're going to pursue. And step 3 is simply find what predicts or correlates with these variables. That's done through market research, which is not an easy process, but it is doable. Once you do the market research, you sort through the data, look for commonalities, and find how you can apply it, and then go back to step 1. What is your definition of success, and how does this meet your definition? Here's their little pyramid. It starts with step 1, gather the results. Gather info that results in hundreds of ways to segment the market. Step 2, determine key predictors and market drivers with key criteria. Number 3, put key predictors into a cluster analysis. Now that's one of those things we learned in statistics class. You knew that was going to come in handy one day, right? And number 4, evaluate cluster solutions. Number 5, select the optimal segmentation, and then the final solution. And that is all in the book, so you can take a look at it in the book. It goes into great detail about each of these steps. So for your customer research, and this is applied to real estate and any industry, you want to have observations and insights into your themes, create a decision tree. The workshop process, when I say workshop, that means examining your customers, have some sample observations, sort them into different themes, and then ladder them, which means work up. In conclusion, what hidden icebergs lurk below the surface? Is there an iceberg waiting to gouge the bottom of your ship? Are there jaws sharks lurking around waiting for your ship to go down? It might look calm and cool on the surface, but it could flip in an instant, and I predict that is what's going to happen in our real estate industry, and we all need to be prepared. So in summary, our topic today was reconstructing the market boundaries. We reviewed the strategy canvas, and then we learned about the 6 paths framework and how to conceive new market space. And lastly, we learned how to conduct customer research with our book, Brand New, the techniques in there. Today's topic was brought to you by Blue Ocean Strategy Book, Chapter 3, and the book Brand New. And I encourage you, if you don't have those yet, get those, take a listen. They have nothing to do with real estate, which is the great thing, because you're going to start to look at other industries, see what other successful industries are doing, and think outside the box that you've always confined yourself to with the real estate industry. Questions, I'm always available. Be sure to reach out. And for today's offer, it's not too late to get your Goal Achiever and Daily Planner, to get a custom cover for all of your agents, everybody at your company, or agents you plan to hire. Wouldn't that be a great recruiting gift? So we do require an order of 15 or more to be able to do a custom cover, or you can just order one at a time. I do have an offer for you. Let me pull that up. All right, there you go. So the offer is up. You can just click on that and find out more. Everybody is still starting strong in 2019. We are nearing the end of February, How do you turn your production into profits of pure gold? That's what we teach you in our master class. We do have an offer for 50% off, and I'll put that offer up as well. It's a special rate of $295. It's a bundle of 12 courses to help you start up, power up, and scale up with our secret sauce. 50% off today through MBA Business Academy. And the month of February, it lasts all through the month of February, which is Heart Month. Okay, there's a little more about it. Each course includes online access, unlimited lifetime activity worksheets, bonus content, and resources. Regular price $590. Today's special price is $295. And we will continue adding more value. We have interviews planned. We have interviews completed, and those will continue being adding to our courses. Again, we offer consultations for real estate brokerage owners, aspiring brokerage owners, and to help you discover innovative new markets just like you're doing today. How do you drive profits to the max? Real estate brokerages, we're going to show you how to rev up, push the needle, and attain maximum profits. That will be in our session following our Blue Ocean Strategy sessions. My contact info, as always. Thank you very much for joining us today, learning how to be the boss and dominate your market. Today was the third of 8 sessions, and hopefully you are on the right track. If not, it's not too late to make a course correction. Today we showed you how to get on that right track of not copying what everybody else is doing, but discovering new unique markets, an area where you can excel without having to have millions of dollars of capital like the big guys, and succeed, scale your business, and be profitable, and more importantly, help your agents and your buyers and sellers and make a difference in your community as a leader. Oh, Irene said, thank you, Regina. Lots of corrections I need to make. Thank you. You're welcome, Irene. And remember, even if you have a big ship, it's not too late to move the rudder, right, to steer in a different direction. As a matter of fact, for us smaller brokerages, it's even easier. The big guys, they have a big ship. It's a lot harder to turn. For us, we have a little boat, maybe a rowboat or a sailboat. And for us, it's a lot easier to change direction quickly. And that's one of the advantages of our business. So I'll talk to you later, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We did go a little bit over an hour. So I thank you for your dedication, taking time out of your busy workday. And we will see you next week with our topic next week, which is session number 4 of Blue Ocean Strategy and Innovation. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.